Hey guys. Hello, hello. All right, sorry about the delay. Obviously something going on our end. Just gonna give everybody another 30 seconds or so. We're gonna hop right into it. Before we get started, please let me know if you can see me, hear me clearly, see the presentation. All right, cool. Before we get started, quick note: I am extremely sick, so I apologize in ahead of time if I have to turn my camera off or mute myself because I'm sneezing or coughing or blowing my nose or something. All right, so just keep that in mind. I am markedly worse than I was on Tuesday. So if I was a 3 on a Tuesday, I'm a -2 today. So please keep that in mind. All right. On that note, I think we should probably get started. Give me a second here. What are you guys? What are we gonna do? All right, perfect. We're gonna be talking about smoke test or smoke suite execution today. All right, but before we get into that, let me just kind of go over the agenda really quickly. um, Obviously, we're gonna do a little review. We're gonna talk about what a smoke suite is. I'm gonna show you guys how to create one. Then we'll do it together in Jira, and then we'll do an execution, and I'll show you guys a excuse me. I'll show you guys a test report and everything. All right. But before we get to that, I owe you guys a couple of explanations from the last session. Um, Last session we were talking about smoke testing, right? If you guys remember correctly, smoke testing is basically build verification, right? Which is we are testing the biggest, most main functions of our application to make sure that all the major stuff is working so that we can go into doing more testing, more detailed testing without having to worry about the entire build being, corrupted or whatever, right? So keep that in mind. Again, it's a small set of test cases. We're not trying to make them too many. On average, your smoke test should take about an hour, depending on the size of your application. As you get more senior, you can make it like a 3 hour assignment or maybe even a half a day, just for the sake of making it that. It's just a matter of figuring out how complex your application really is that you're working on. All right. Again, the idea here is to make sure the build is stable enough, all right, that to proceed with further testing. Some of you came across a lot of issues. So that's your first taste of what it's really like to be a QA. All right. There's a reason why we have such a buggy website or buggy app, right? The reason for that is to give you guys the roadblocks, to give you guys the frustration of not being able to see what's supposed to happen. You are not going to know what's supposed to happen, right? Sometimes if you don't have the requirements, right? You have to do a professional opinion on what you think should happen, right? You should give an estimation of what the expected results of these things are, right? So when you're writing your test cases, most of the time you don't have anything. You don't have that functionality. You don't have the actual application available for you to test. So you won't see every step of the way what you're supposed to be doing. But what you will have will most likely be requirements on what you need to be writing your test cases about. So again, it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of making it a little bit complex for you guys so that you do get a little frustrated. I saw a lot of frustration from a lot of people. All right. But here's my question to you. Assume you start working in QA tomorrow. Do you think you're going to know everything you're going to be working on? Do you think you're never going to come across something new that you've never seen before and you're going to be confused about it? What are you going to do? You're going to say, you know what? I don't know this, throw up your hands and walk out of the room? Can't get paid for that, right? But that's kind of the idea here. Again, everything we do is to show you what it's like in the real world, including your teams, including the Slack channel, asking questions of each other, including me answering some of your questions as a lead or as a manager in a sense in this regard, or your teacher, whatever you want to call it. You could Google it. There's again the resources are infinite for you to figure out what to do. But the biggest resource for you guys right now, especially, is each other. All right. So again, I don't know how to get help on Slack. I just got this message right now. Now, what exactly do you think you need to know about getting help on Slack? Put a message out there. Put a message to your classmates. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just type a message. People have been responding. I've been seeing people responding to each other for the past 2 or 3 days. That's the whole point of this, right? Is collaboration. Collaboration is the biggest advantage you can have in a QA environment. Again, if you have to be proactive, if nobody's responding to you, you ping people directly. There's been a bunch of people that have pinged me directly, and I've responded back to them. All right. I don't respond to every single question because I cannot. I don't have the time throughout the day to be able to respond. But I try to respond to as many as I can. So do like Marina, for example. Marina's again, she's she's the one that onboarded me onto this onto Test Pro, right? She's like my I call her boss, right? Um, obviously we don't really work together that much, but she's been answering a few questions as they go along. Dennis answers questions all the time. Again, you guys have to be proactive. And if you're not seeing anybody, if you're not just, if you're not getting anybody responding to you directly, pursue people, see who knows what they're talking about and ask them directly. I've noticed more than enough people willing to help each other out. I think some of you have been able to really kind of, help set the ship right for each other, right? That's part of the game here. So keep that in mind. All this is very important. All this is part of the the process. All right. Again, everything we do in a smoke test is happy path, is critical path, is the path of least resistance. We are trying to make sure that everything is working. We're not trying to break anything. We're not trying to see any errors. We are trying to make sure um, what's going on. Now, all right. Now, as far as again, if you're having now what session, what lesson is this? So we're like lesson number 7 or 8, 6 today, I think 6 or 7. Right now, what either way, right? Let's say 7. If you don't have access to LMS by now, then that's kind of on you because there's no reason why you shouldn't be like, jumping down somebody's throat the fact that you don't have access to LMS, right? Again, and I don't mean to sound like weird about this, right? But you guys are paying for this material. You guys are paying to be a part of this boot camp. This is not something that you are getting for free or someone's donating to you. Any question you have, any problem you have, any issue you have every right to pursue that. All right. Find people, get a hold of them, be demanding. All right. We expect you to be. I expect you to be. Forget the we. I expect you to demand what your right is. There's a very famous saying, closed mouth don't get fed. All right. You got to ask for your right. All right. You got to ask for what you're looking for. Nobody's going to just magically come and help you. All right. So that's my little speech for the day. All right. So let's move on to what the difference between what sanity testing is. All right. Again, guys, just to I'm my whole thing here is to be as helpful as I can. Again, I shouldn't even be here today, right? I shouldn't. I'm like I feel like shit. Pardon my language, but again, this is a commitment that I've made to you guys because we've been doing this from this first webinar that we had weeks or months ago to this day, right? Um, so I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling my commitment to you to make sure that we're all, I'm able to get you to where I need to get you. And then from that point on, and by one more session after that, you guys are gone. I hand you off to our next instructor, and that's it. That's it for me. Right. So I didn't want to miss today for that exact reason. All right. So keep that in mind. And again, it's not about me. This is about you. This is about your success, and that's what we're trying to do here. And whatever we need to do, we'll figure it out. All right. So what is sanity testing? So when we come to, I appreciate you guys. Let's pull it back. Let's focus on what we need to do on today. All right. Now, so smoke testing and sanity testing, right? Those are two different things. Smoke testing, number one, is again, it's for the big application, the entire application. You check the biggest functionality real quickly, make sure all the major stuff is working. So let me give you an example on a smoke test for humans, right? Let me pull up humans real quick. So a smoke test for humans is okay. Let's look at the major functionality here, right? The search, that's part of the smoke test. The ability to what else? The ability to pursue support, the ability to check your profile, the ability to log in, to create a profile, the ability to create a post, your profile settings, right? Things like that. The ability to sign up, register for the application itself. All these things are in the major functionality. All this is very important. This is part of the test plan that you guys had for your homework, right? Again, I'm going to go over your test cases in a few minutes, but I want to make sure you understand that this is the major functionality, all the major stuff here. All these things need to be tested and make sure that it's working, right? And if let's say, for example, you're not able to sign up, immediately you find that on your smoke test that you're not able to register a new account. Well, that's a high high severity issue, right? And that's going to be a high priority as well, because again, registration is a major functionality of the application. If new people, new customers cannot sign up, we're not making money. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now that's for smoke testing. Sanity testing is testing a new piece of a new functionality that gets added, right? So it's performed after receiving a new build with any minor changes in code or functionality to ascertain if the bugs have been fixed and that no further issues have been introduced to these changes. Now, let's say you find a bug. For example, the location bug you guys were having issues with, right? You get a new build, right? You do a new smoke test, right? You run your smoke test to make sure all the major functionality works. The next step after that is you go directly to that bug and you make sure that that bug is working, right? That bug is fixed. Now, you're not going to do a complete full-on test of the bug. You just want to make sure that in the simplest way, in the happy path or in the path of least resistance, that bug that was fixed was actually fixed, right? The reason for that is because there'll be a lot of times when you get a build and they say the bug is fixed, but they don't merge the code, right? The code is not updated. So you'll spend all your time doing your smoke testing. You'll do all your time, doing other testing. All of a sudden, you get to this bug. This bug the fix was never implemented, and now you have to go all the way back and redo everything. Redo this, get the new build, get the fix, redo the smoke test, redo all your other testing, and then go back and sanity check that new feature that came in. Right? So the reason why we do this is to make sure that at a very, very minimum level that the fix is in, right? Sanity and smoke tests are not there to break things, right? They are there to make sure that everything is working, especially the new stuff that's been introduced. Okay, so let me give you an example what the difference between the two is, right? Again, I can't give you an example right now because I don't know what's like. I just give you an example, the map thing, right? When you guys were registering your users, you weren't able to do a location for the new user, right? When you guys were doing your registration. Well, let's say they fixed that and they said, okay, the new build is there. Can you go? And then this fixed. So you go in, you smoke test, right? You make sure the major part of the application is working, and then you go and sanity check the map functionality, the location functionality. Make sure in a very quick way that little thing is fixed as well. Correct. So yeah, that's exactly right. Any bug that gets fixed, you check it quickly just to make sure that it is fixed and it was included in the build. Then later on, you go back and you do your negative testing and your detailed testing and all that stuff. Okay. Do you guys understand the difference between what a sanity check or what a smoke test is? Again, sanity tests are not just bug related. Anytime there's any new changes added, you just quickly go and check it and make sure that it's in there and it's not broken. Because it will happen a lot of times where you'll get a new functionality and you try to click the button or you try to open the page and it just blows up for whatever reason, right? So you quickly just go and check it and make sure that it's working. And that way you're able to like, okay, you can do your more detailed testing and you're not, wasting your time kind of just running around until you get to find this problem. Yes, you do both tests every time a new feature is added. You do, because once you get a new build, that means there was some new code that was merged, right? So you do a smoke test and you do a sanity check. Now, what order you do it in is really up to you. I think that you should probably do a sanity check first and then do a smoke test, because sanity checks should take you literally minutes. But if you have a lot of bugs that are fixed, or a lot of things that you need to do a sanity check on, then I would flip it. Then I would do a smoke test first, and then I would do the sanity check. Do you write test cases for sanity testing? You really don't. Sanity checks are just a quick. Again, they're even quicker than a smoke test. So smoke test, you write them out. The sanity check is just literally to make sure if I click this thing, does it open, or does it work, or does it blow up? You're really that's there's only two real solutions or answers to a sanity test. Does it blow up, or does it at least you can see something, or something is there? Excuse me, guys, 1 second. It's not reported anywhere in the sense that you're not writing sanity test cases out. Okay. Now, what is Lisa asking? Now, when you're writing a smoke test and you come across a bug, again, you write what you think is supposed to happen. Lisa, you and I had this conversation earlier in Slack today, and you kind of just threw your hands up in the air and you walked away from the conversation, right? But my answer is the same. You need to write out what you expect to happen. And if it's not happening, then that's a bug. It doesn't matter. But the point is, my answer is the same, right? If you write your expected result, now once you find once the actual result doesn't match the expected result, then you file a bug. But you've still written your test case with the expected result, right? Does that clarify for you? Does it clear it up at least a little bit? Exactly, Olga. That's right. You get your assumptions from the requirements. In this case, for the smoke test, we didn't have any requirements, right? Again, the filing the bug wasn't part of the homework. It was just an extra exercise so you guys can practice doing that, because that's how it really works, right? That's how we do it. Then the problem is solved, right, Lisa? That's my point. But then why ask the same question again? I mean, are you still confused, or do you get it, or what's? I want to make sure everybody understands, because I see this confusing a lot of other people too. So it's not just you. So please don't think that it's just you that's confused about this, or I've given the same answer to other people as well. Everybody is confused about it. Whoever's confused about it, again, I want to clear it up for you. Again, when you're writing the test case, right? You write your expected result, what's supposed to happen, right? Now, if that's not happening, that's a different question. You can still write your test case. You write your test case. You write your test case. You put your expected result, and then you filed a bug for the thing that's not happening. Again, going back to the thing with the location, the expected result is you should be able to search by location, or you should be able to add a user by their location, right? Or add the location to the user. Now, if that's not happening, the expected result still stays the same. You just file a bug. Brittany, we'll get to that, but good question. You shouldn't have stopped. You can complete your test case, and then you move on to the next thing. Again, you shouldn't let it stop, because again, we know what for the most part, we should know what the expected result is supposed to be. We know what's supposed to happen. Again, and remember, test cases are written to pass. Now, do you guys understand what I mean when I say the test cases are supposed to be written to pass? Yes. So here's another thing that you guys are being confused about. We weren't running the test cases yet. We are just writing the test cases. The way I was showing you was how to kind of put pen to paper and to show when certain things are happening, how to write that down. Okay, so that's another thing where you guys are confused. We are going to run our test cases today. We weren't supposed to run our test cases yet. We were supposed to just write them. And that's where I think the biggest confusion is for everybody. And if you haven't written bug reports, that's fine. You should have, but it wasn't part of the homework, and it's not something that you were required to do. I just thought you should do it because it's good practice. Okay, now does that kind of help you guys out on where the confusion lied? Okay. How it gets written in Zephyr, and if you're writing them, how you think it should be where it's the end? Will there be user story? So again, the expected result is the last final thing you put in the test case, right? Or one of the final things you put in the test case, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Which test case was it that you were having issues with? Tell me that. Maybe I can answer that question for you. Where is the end? So the delete post, right? Again, just right now, without me even looking at it, right? I can tell you the expected result at the end is that the post should be successfully deleted. Doesn't matter what the rest of the test case is. Simple. Now, if that isn't happening, different story. Again, it cannot fail when you write the test case because we haven't run the test cases yet. Writing, you can't fail writing a test case. You can fail the test case when you run it. Okay, that's where the confusion really came in here. When you start talking about elements within elements, I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Can it fail if it's written wrong? Oh, that's a good question, Olga. Now, can your test case fail if it's written incorrectly? Yes. It doesn't always have to be the fact that the failed test case is a bug. Sometimes your test case could be bad. All right. Just remember that. Okay, so we'll come back to these questions. I want to kind of look at your test cases, and then maybe we'll be able to kind of be able to clarify a little bit more. Anselmo, you hit the button on the head. We don't actually need access to the application in order to write a test case. Now, that's how it is in real life. You don't get access to the application until it's after it's developed, right? You only have access to requirements. You only have access to the test plan. All right. So again, this is what I meant, right? These are great questions, guys. This is the whole idea here, right? That's good. Good. Excellent questions. We just need the requirements to know what's expected. That's correct, Tamika. Are you able to see the reported bug come up for a specific test case? I don't know what you, if it's linked, then yes, but that's a whole other thing. Right, Brittany. So writing test cases is you're just coming up with your checklist, executing them, running them. That's coming up with the, that's the action. That's when you pass or fail something. All right. So on that note, let me start off with today's stuff, and we'll get into what we need to get into. All right. We're gonna check your test cases. We're gonna look in Jira. All right, and we'll kind of figure it out. Okay. I'm not going to. I usually call for volunteers, but if I call for volunteers today, there's gonna be a lot of confusion. Okay, so I'm gonna pick people's test cases at random. So again, if I pick your test case, then you're lucky. If not, all right. Let me see here. I'm gonna do a randomizer. Let's go randomizer. Okay, between, how do I do this? Between 0 and let's say 100, 220. Let me see here. 26. Let's go. Okay, Lisa, let me, that's okay. That's a good question, right? So again, knowing nothing of what you're writing on your test except for what you're asking me, I can tell you right now that the end of your test case should be a profile is successfully created. That's the expected result. That makes sense. Now, can you guys see my Jira? All right, cool. So we're gonna go down BQ33. We're gonna do test cases. We're gonna go reporter. We're gonna go down 26. What the hell? I can't go down to 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go down less. Let me see. All right, let me see here. Not completely 100% complete. Again, now you're confusing me. So I'm gonna pull up your test case because you confuse the hell out of me. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Let's see. A couple of test cases. Sign up using email and sign up in registration. All right. So humans sign up using email. Okay. User is on humans.net. User clicks the sign up button. User is directed to create a profile page. Okay. User inputs email into designated field. Name the fields, right? I know it seems silly, but you should always name the field. So if user enters email into email field, or user enters valid input into email and password field, whatever you want to say. User creates. Oh, sorry, never mind. That's user inputs email into doesn't. Oh, okay, never mind. That says that you're talking about the email field. It's a little confusing, but that's okay. User creates password. Okay, click. User is directed. Again, it's not directed. It's redirected. I think we had this conversation earlier as well. When somebody is taken from one place to another, they're redirected. It's not a negative thing that happens. Excuse me. Thank you. Prompted is different. Prompted is when you get like a pop-up or something. All right, let me see here. Should we be numbering steps? No, you shouldn't. The number is already here. The numbers are automatic. So there's no reason for you guys to be numbering your steps. All right. Okay, so this is just a copy of what we did. So again, I can't really judge on what was done here because this is just exactly what we did in the class, right? So again, I can answer all the questions I want all day long, but you have to do the work has to be there. Right. Again, these are the same two test cases that we did in the session itself. So I can't really, there's not much for me to do here because it's just looking at what I wrote in earlier. So I'm going to we're going to have to come back to this. I'm going to move on to other test cases because again, the work has to be done in order for me to critique it. All right. Let me see who's next. Actually, can you guys raise your hands and I'll just pull up your test cases instead of me doing randomly. All right. Don't just do mine. Raise your hands in the thing, in the chat, and I'll try to pull them up. All right. Jalen. Okay. Sosa. All right. I see a bunch of test cases. Cool. Let's see here. So I'm not gonna do the first two. I'm gonna order by ID. No. Component created, I guess. All right, so login is human, create a post, search for job. I'm gonna do 3 of these and then we'll keep on moving. All right, humans, login page, login is human. All right, all right, user should have an account. Okay, user is on the login page. This is fine. It's a little bit extra information, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just say, the way that I would put it is users on the login page, user with valid credentials is on the login page. All right. That's how you would say that. Make it easier, simpler. User enters valid email and password. Okay. User clicks continue button. Okay. User clicks my profile from the hamburger menu. User should be redirected to my profile page. All right. That looks good. Can we create generic universal test cases? I don't think so. Because again, every single application is unique. All right, so these look fine. This was supposed to be for login. So let me kind of do this. We'll execute them later, but I'm just going to review them right now. This looks fine. Well done. All right. My profile, create a post, precondition, user logs into humans.net and navigates to the human profile. Now, here's the thing with this one, right? This is part of the smoke test, right? So usually you will continue on with whichever credentials that you created. But if it's not if that's not the case, if you don't have a new user being created for the smoke test, I would make sure that we provide the credentials in here. But in this case, that's not the case. But usually, if you're not registering a new user, I would say just put like the username and the password in the precondition so the person running them can reuse them. Okay, but not in this case. This is right. We don't need to do that right now. So user clicks create post. Create post screen should pop up. All right, let me see. Let me log into humans. All right, log in. One second. Okay, let me see here. Let me make sure. What was the last? So the last test. Okay, perfect. So the last test case was to log in as human. So that's done too, right? So we've already logged in now. So the next step in this test case or next test case would be to um, go to log into our we'll already be on the profile. Then we click the create post button. Okay. Um, what's the next step? Wrong one. So create post button. User enters type and description of services. Uh, okay. So here's the thing, right? We have to be a little bit more specific. All right. So again, in this case, Cody, this is where we would use test data, right? This is where we would use reuse the same thing over and over again, right? So you have to, but the thing is, you have to inform the user who's running the test case which one of these are you supposed to be doing. Is it a job? Is it a service? Or is it a good? Right. So create post, but you have to be a little bit more specific. And then again, yes, this is fine, but what particular type of job? Um what's the title? What's the description? What are we putting in there? And then click publish post. User clicks publish post. Okay. So again, step 2 needs to be more detailed. You need more test data in there. All right. Just again, since even if it is a smoke test case, creating a new user, you don't have to provide the same test data because again, you can do that, but you can recreate the same job postings over and over again. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? All right, let me see here. How to recreate? Recreate what? What exactly you're looking for, Pradeep? Test data. Okay, test data again. You can just use whatever you think would be the right. So in my case, I would say select jobs, Title should be clown services. Um, do you need a joker? Right? That's what I feel like right now. I feel like a big old red nose. And then you click publish post. All right. That's the test data. So I would say, again, let me see here. So say user. So user selects jobs from drop down and provides title and what was it? Um, and title and job info. So I would say, I said it would be title, would be clown services details. I forget what the field is called. Let me see. Where's our post? Edit. What's this called? Oh yeah, job title. Sorry, let me clarify that. So job title, and then this is called description field, detail field, details. Let's say you need a joker. All right, this is how we would do. This is what test data is, right? This is what you guys are asking me for. But this is how I would put the test data. It can be generalized. It doesn't have to be specific. Again, this is a smoke test. The idea is to be as generic as possible, as reusable, should be reusable. You should be able to do this, as much as easily as possible. All right. What's the attachments here? Whoa, are you attaching screenshots to your test cases? Okay, so that's cool and all, but that's a bad idea. It's gonna take way too much time to do that. Okay. You don't need screenshots for your test cases, so just be aware of that. You're gonna end up giving yourself way more work than you need to. So do you enter everything that you enter into a data field? Yes, Lisa, that's right. You usually would. I would recommend doing that. For most things, again, you can't do that for the smoke test usernames and passwords because you can only create one user with the same email and the same username, right? So we can't reuse that all the time. But other things within the application, we can reuse them constantly. And it's actually good to reuse the same test data so that you know that if it passed before, it will pass in the future. It should pass in the future. Does that make sense? Sweet. All right, cool. We're not always yeah, the screenshot thing I think is a little bit much. Again, that's just giving yourself extra work. It's unnecessary. We only use screenshots for our bugs, not test cases. Okay, so one last thing we're gonna look at now is the search for the job. So navigate to humans.net, select jobs from dropdown. All right, user enters payroll in the search field and clicks find button. Cool. Now here you guys see this. This could have gone in the test data, but even if you put it in like this, like I like to do in a single quote, it's perfect. This is a great. Who wrote this test data? Jalen, well done. Or am I saying that right? God, I hope I'm saying that right. Cool. Excellent job. That's good test cases. User should be redirected to the job results page. The expected result should be, I guess that's fine. User should be, yeah. Again, you can do it. Remember, guys, you know what I say about an axe, right? And the same thing goes for Jira. It's a tool. Use it the best way you see fit. All right. Sometimes you'll have to use the test data field. Sometimes you can just do it this way. You don't have to do additional work for yourself. All right. Cool. Awesome. Good job, Jalen. Well done. Those are good test cases. I'm gonna wrap that up. Moving forward. Now, so that's kind of the. All right. Let me see here. Let's take a look. Contact the customer. I'm gonna look at her test cases or I hope it was her. All right, so user logs in to humans.net/login and searches for a job. All right, so here's the thing about this, right? You could make them, you could just give the actual search result page. So let me give you an idea here what I would do. that's the case. Um, Lydia Borges. Okay, so let's say search for job. Mm, Cleaning. Man, is there any day when you can find a freaking search result? Jeez Louise. All right, so I would say just give them this particular here instead of, right? So say user searches for a job and you just give them the actual URL to get to the page instead of going through and doing the actual search itself. Right? Sometimes that'll work. Okay. Hey, don't make fun of my sniffing, man. I'm sick here. You guys are jerks. All right. Everyone, I'm gonna leave right now. Uh, I I love Nyquil. I chug like half a Nyquil bottle down like every time I get sick, and I go sleep for like 3 days. Um, I'll tell you guys a story about that. It's pretty funny, but I literally I don't drink it out of the little cup or whatever. I just really guzzle it down. I freaking love Nyquil. All right, sorry. Let's get back on task. So user hovers to the preferred job and clicks send message. Um, so you can say job tile, right? Again, job is fine too. That's not, you're not wrong. Um, and then you click send message. Okay. User end writes the message and clicks the send button. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Right? Again, a little bit of test data. I'm glad you guys get these. This is fun. Right? So again, that's a little bit of test data just makes it easier for whenever you um uh, and then again, you guys can, it just makes it easier when you need to execute the test case. All right. Awesome. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. And this is probably not the right thing to tell you. Go and look at Jalen's test cases. They're exactly what the test cases are supposed to be. All right. Don't mess with their test case. Copy what they did in a sense and figure out the right way to do it. All right. Excellent job. Well done. Great test cases. All right. Oh, man. All right. Again, remember what I said before. Good artists copy, great artists steal. All right. So be great and just jag everything she did. All right. Well done. I didn't say Jillian. What the heck? Why would I say Jillian? I am very specific on getting people's names right. All right. Because again, my people have gotten my name wrong for the past 30 plus years. So I make it a thing about getting people's names right. What did I say? What do you need me to repeat? About what? You would not believe the way that people have gotten my name wrong. Yeah, no, I mean the sense of just copy what was done, right? Just look at the test cases and see if yours match up and just kind of follow what was done. Yeah, don't copy, don't just steal it. I want you to learn from it. Okay? I can see Paul. Yeah, I can't say that. I mean, I would just find out what it is, all right? Maycheck? Is that right? Now I want to know. Is it Maycheck? Is that correct? Am I saying that right? Maycheck. All right, that's cool. Alrighty, so now let's move on to the next stuff, guys. Now we're gonna do what's called, when you said to make an account for provider, I got confused. Again, there's just two types of users, right? There's a person that wants to, that's a customer that's looking to get it to use a service, and the other one's a providing of a service. There's only two types of custom. There's only two types of users. When you register, you only get two options, right? So again, you register as one, and then you register as the other. When writing your test case steps, if you're linking to a page that has a specific profile ID, what link do you paste into the field? What do you mean by a specific profile ID? Do you mean like the login? You provide that as the precondition, the credentials. All right. Do you save stored titles to test cases? You usually don't reuse the same titles for test cases. Right? So, I mean, if it gets saved on your forms, it's fine. It is what it is. But for the most part, you don't really reuse titles. All right. Are we good, guys? Everybody kind of get the idea? Give an example of a smoke test suite. I haven't explained to you what a smoke test suite is yet, dude. All right, cool. Okay. All right, so here we go. Now moving on. So a collection of test cases is called a test suite. Okay. Um, yes. Now Raymond is the one that really kind of put the word to it. You guys, and this is not just him. This is everybody. You guys made it way more complicated than it needed to be, and this is the case for a lot of. It's kind of weird sometimes how simple these things can be if once you kind of get the hold of it, right? So keep that in mind. All right. So again, uh, any other questions for now, guys? Let's hold them off until the end, and I'll come back to you, and we can kind of discuss them again. But right now, we need to move on to the next portion. All right. Uh, Now, a collection of test cases together is considered a test suite. Okay, it combines a number of smoked, and then a smoke test suite is a combination of a number of smoke tests into a small suite of tests. So what we basically do is we reuse the same test suite over and over again every time um, we get a new build, right? Again, we don't do this. We don't do that. We don't do that for the sanity test, right? The reason for that is because it's not going to be the same new things, new functionality being added every build, right? But as far as the smoke test is concerned, the main functionality of the application that remains the same: the search, the registration, the logging in, the searching for job, the accepting the job, all that stuff. All right. So we're gonna create a smoke test suite based on your test cases, and we're gonna execute them. Now we're gonna run them. Who tests? Nobody checks your test cases. I mean, your lead might, your QA lead might. Again, if you go into a position where you have a QA lead who's a super micromanager, people will read your test cases. But 9 times out of 10, people are so busy doing their own job, they're not gonna sit there and um, homework check your test cases. Okay, so this is kind of the flow that it really works in, right? You get a build and you do a smoke test. If the test passes, you move on to your functional and regression testing, right? Again, the detailed testing happens here. What is functional and regression testing? Don't worry about it. You have 2 or 3 sessions related to this testing, okay? Don't worry about that for now. Let's focus on this section here, okay? As you go on further and further deeper into the application, you can do more sanity checks. Again, I am not a believer in this here. I think you should always do a smoke test of your application because it just is helpful. Because things will go wrong and things will break that has nothing. One has nothing to do with the other. Okay. I do a smoke test, and I'm going to tell you how I do it, and I've been doing it for the past 10 years. Every time I get a new build, I do a smoke test and I do a sanity check on any of the new functionality or the new bugs. 99% of the time, I will find the issues that are the big issues within an hour to 2 hours of getting the build. Okay, that saves me a whole lot of problems and headaches. All right, so keep that in mind. That's the way I do it. That's the way I recommend you do it. Other people may tell you different. Okay. So let's do this. We're gonna practice this. We're gonna pull in the test cases, and I'm gonna show you guys how to create a smoke test suite, and then we're gonna execute that. Okay. But first, I'm gonna show you how to create a test suite. So if I can pull up Jira. All right. Search for tests. All right. And just remember, you guys know how to. And somebody asked me this question earlier too, right? Um, if you're searching for your test cases, you can go into test and search for tests. Again, you've got your favorite filters on the left-hand side. You've got your all issues reported by me on the left side, and then you can kind of use it, specify the project, specify that it's a test case you're looking for, and you've got all your information here, okay? I only have a couple of test cases, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull in, let's see, I'm gonna pull in some of Anthony's test cases too. How many Anthony's do we have in this class? Anthony doesn't have anything. Anthony Kesney doesn't have anything. Anthony Washington. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna use all these test cases. All right. Now, Sylvia. What? Sylvia have a question? Every time I see that name, it reminds me of my cousin. Actually, cousin? Yeah. It's funny because I haven't spoken to my cousin in like 25 years, but yeah, that is what it is. I'm not a very, I'm not a very friendly guy. It's not on purpose. She just lives in she lives in a whole different continent. She's not a first cousin. She's like a third cousin. So it's not like an immediate cousin. Her name is Sobia. Not the Sobia in our class is not my cousin, or maybe I don't know. I haven't spoken to her, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, maybe we're related. I don't even know. All right. So this is the group of test cases that we're gonna use. I'm gonna create this as a Nadir and Anthony smoke test. All right. I hope you don't mind, Anthony. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what's called planning a test cycle. Okay. Now a suite is created within the test cycle, right? So if you see here, let me open this up here. You'll see this. Usually what you'll see here would be the different releases and stuff, right? This is the start. So we haven't done anything you guys haven't seen before. Okay, this is the beginning of how to create a suite. We're gonna go to the test. We're gonna go into plan test cycle. Okay. So now we're on the test cycle planning page. Now you can either click the plus button here to create cycle, or you can hit this. Now here's the funny part. This is called a kebab. Like we have the humans has the hamburger. This is called a kebab, which is the funny part. All right, little note for you to learn. You can either hit that and create cycle here, or you can hit the plus button here. Okay. Again, the version is going to be dependent on. Right now, we only have unscheduled, but this would probably be usually where your whatever version of the application that you currently have. Okay. The name will be, let's say Nadir likes to smoke test. All right. And the description is going to be smoke them if you got them. All right. Again, the build version, we can put whatever build version is currently in there. Environment's going to be, usually you'll put the environment will be QA. The from to to is usually like, when are you going to be running those test cases? What sprint are you in? We're not going to pick anything right now because I don't want to restrict it. But again, it just depends. Your company will let you know how that works. Okay. So we hit save. And oh no, where's our test suite? Well, if you see here, this needs to collapse. Okay. You'll see a bunch of test cases. Now here, what I would recommend is to put your name first. That way you can easily see which one of these is yours. Okay. So now you've got your cycle created. Your suite is there, but now you need to add test cases. Okay. Again, the way to add the test cases is hit the kebab and go to add test cases or add folder, right? Or you can go here on the right side and hit the add test button here. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to hit the button on this side and do it. Now you'll see this pops up. Now you can hit the plus button here and you can see all these, the most recent issues that you're working on pop up. Okay, I'm going to close this real quick. Just stick with me. I'm going to spend more time on this. I just want to quickly show you what the options are. Okay. So that's one. You can just hit that, or you can hit the drop down and you can see all the latest ones, all the latest work items that you had opened or edited or touched down here. Okay. Or you can go on the left side. You can go via a search filter. You can pick whatever search filters you have. Right. So if you remember, I created one right now. Where'd it go? There we go. See, I've typed in my name and it showed up, right? That's the search filter we can use. That's another way to do it. And the other two we don't worry about right now. Again, via JQL. If you want to search using JQL, right? Again, we can do that too. So we can go project equals BQA. Again, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you guys know how to use JQL. If you really want to do this, I would say, go for it. Okay, that's another option to do. But the way that I'm going to do it, I'm going to go by a search filter. Or again, we can do, no, search wasn't invalid. I didn't do a search. Okay, so again, I can pick and choose from these. Again, I can choose multiple ones. If you select on the top right, it says select multiple issues. You hit that button, you'll see the check boxes. And you can pick multiple test cases. Okay. Again, these are the issues that you recently viewed. Or you can select from the filter. I'm going to select the filter. Excuse me. And I'm going to go, this is the one that I did. And these are the test cases that are in there. Okay. So let's say I'm going to do, let me do one, I'm going to do 3 of these test cases. I'm going to do create a profile. No, I'm going to do search for a job, log in, and create a profile. All right. So I'm going to select these 3 issues. You see them listed in here. Again, you can type it up in here too. BQA 33 dash whatever 453 or whatever. Okay. You can do it that way too. Oh, shoot. What happened here? Dang it. This is why Jira is a pain in the ass. Again, we're going to select multiple issues. I'm going to check search for a job, create a post, and create a profile. Actually, I'm select my own test case. And then I'm going to hit select issues here. Okay. Yeah, this is the same filter that we saved on the main page. So you can always check, you can always save your filters and then you can open them up in here. So you can just pull it easily rather than going in and searching for whatever particular one. Okay. So you see that these 3 were selected and I'm going to assign them to me. All right. And I'm going to hit add. Okay. Hit the add button. You'll see that it's taken a second. These are the tests that were added. There were no other issues for tests not being able to be added, etc. And you'll see in here that they are listed in here. Okay. Now, do you guys all understand how to add how to create a test suite and how to add test cases to your test suite? Next step, we're going to execute these test cases, but I want to make sure you understood until this point. Okay, cool. So far, so good. Excellent. Now, in this instance, you can either select all to execute, or you can select 2 particular ones. All right. So here's what we're going to do. You can even provide the execution result here without actually running the test case. Okay. Again, let me show you guys one more time. You hit the plus button here, you create the new cycle, right? So I created this one as my new cycle. Once the new cycle is created, you hit the kebab here or the add test button here. Add test here or add test button here. You add, and then you add your test cases. Okay. Does that make sense, Nemo? Cool. Now, the different statuses are execute, unexecuted, which you haven't touched it yet. Pass, obviously. Fail. WIP is work in progress. You dirty-minded people. It's work in progress. Not what you think. You guys watch too much TikTok. So WIP is work in progress. Blocked is blocked. Again, you guys know what blocked is? Something causing an issue to not allow you to run the test case, right? Let's say, for example, the registration is let's giggity. Let's just say the registration is failing, right? If this fails, then the next test case is blocked to be able to create a post, right? Where it's possible that it could be blocked. Does that make sense? You don't know it's a possibility, but that's not how you do it. Again, I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. Don't worry about this for now. I just want to show you guys the different statuses that are available. Now let's do this. Let's actually execute. All right, I'm gonna do 2 of these test cases. Search for a job and create a post. You can either hit the E letter on your keyboard, or you see the E here. That's E for execute. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the E here, and you'll see that this pops up. Okay, you got your details. You got your test steps, everything in here, right? You got your summary, search for a job, and you got your execution status. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to run the test case. So the description, there is no description. Why isn't there a description? Hold on a second. Search for a job. Okay, so that's a big no-no. There's no precondition. So Anthony, you need a precondition on your test cases. Okay, just remember that you need a precondition there. So that's, that's something that needs to be fixed. But we know what the precondition is in this case. Okay, so let's do this. Let's run the test case. So we log in to humans. Okay, we are in humans already. We're already logged in. Let's go to our login page. Okay. User clicks green profile button. I don't know which is the green profile button. Again, that you have to be specific. Let me see here. Okay, so this is the page. You mean my profile button? How'd you get here exactly? Oh, your profile. Okay, but that's these are different profiles. Okay, so we're looking at different profiles. That's fine. Okay, never mind. Again, so this is, again, remember, this is not a green profile button necessarily. It's just a profile button itself, right? So your profile is different than my profile. Again, do you have to be logged in for this? Let's see. User clicks find job and humans button. So we go find job and humans. Find jobs and human. Okay. All right. Find jobs and human button. Okay. So we did that. User enters. So do we end up on this page? Find help. Find work. So this is incorrect. We didn't end up on this page. We didn't end up on find work. We ended up on find help. Well, actually, let me see here. Nope, this is wrong, right? Not confusion. This was the expected result. The expected result was not met. What does that mean, guys? Test case failed. Now, is this test case fail because it's a bug, or does this test case fail because it's a incorrect test case? Invalid test case. Okay, but in reality, it does fail, right? So we're gonna take this as a fail. Okay. So we're gonna assume this is a failed test case. It's not a bug. We wrote the test case itself was incorrect, but we have to expect that this is what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be fine work, but it ended up being fine help. Let's see if you put in fine work, what happens. There is a fine work. See, this is the confusion here, right? So you have to, Anthony, you got to go back in and you got to fix your test cases. All right. Again, and you have to, it has to follow the right pattern, right? It has to follow the right steps. Don't worry, you're not lost. There's nothing to be lost about. We're just executing the test case. And we have to assume our test case. Remember, our test cases are written to pass. Every time it doesn't pass, there's a reason behind it. And in this case, it was the fact that it's a failed test case. All right. So in order for you to move on to the next test case, you see this button on the right side here? You can move on to your next test case by hitting that button. Okay. Again, now we've got the new test case, 1001. Again, user navigates to this profile page. User clicks on add post. All right, where do we add post? You gotta be logged into this. So I'm gonna go to this one, go to my profile, create, again, this is invalid, right? It's not an add a post, it's a create post. The fine work thing, again, the reason why the fine work thing isn't the fact that it's wrong. It's the fact that it's invalid in the context of the test case. Okay, because in order for you to get to fine work, you have to be on the home page and you have to search for something, and this is where the fine work comes in. It has nothing to do with being logged in or not. Okay, so again, we have to make sure, number one thing is our test cases need to be correct. Okay. Now, good question, Artem. Now, can you pass or fail or execute or give the result of each step in the test case? You sure can. It's being very, very thorough, but I don't do that. I usually just make the test case a pass or a fail. If you guys would like to do this, I would recommend you do it just for practice sake. So you know exactly where the test case passed or failed. Okay. So again, in this case, user clicked add a post. There is no add a post, so this fails right here. So that makes the test case a fail. All right. So that's one fine. Keep on going. Any one step fails usually means that the test case fails. And yeah, again, Shanice, that's correct. It'll be easier for you to fix it on why it happened. All right. Now this test case, let's take a look at this. Precondition, humans not registration. Okay. User enters valid. Okay, so I need to log out first. Let me make sure that's the case here. My test cases, this is my test case. All right, here we go. So first things first, user should be on the introduce yourself page here. Okay. All right, what's the next step? User enters valid first and last name. Okay, so again, we messed up. And this is a second test case, so let me do this. So this is where this is where we're supposed to be, right? The introduce yourself registration profile name, right? This is the page that we're supposed to be on. All right. User enters QA test. Now remember, guys, whenever we're using test data, it doesn't have to be real. Especially right now for humans, you're not getting any emails unless you're testing emails or something or messages you're supposed to get. It doesn't matter what you're selecting or what you're putting in, right? You just have to keep the same pattern. I like using, sometimes I'll just put in for first name, I just do first name or last name, right? That way, when we get to see when we get an email or something, you can see exactly where, that information is coming from. Okay. So again, it says to select a country. We selected a country. We should end up on the registration terms of use page. That's where we ended up. Okay. Click user agrees to terms of use and clicks continue button. All right. Clicks continue button. User should be given a welcome message and redirected to the, sorry, to the success page. All right. We got a welcome message and we are redirected to the registration success page. Beautiful. This worked. This was a passed test case. All right. So this is how we executed a test case. Okay. Does this test execution make sense? Now, if you go back into your search test executions, you go back into your, actually, no, sorry, test cycle. If you go back in your test cycle, you'll see here that you can, if you click on, like I clicked on mine here, if you just hover over, you'll see which test cases failed, which ones passed, right? If you hover over this little line, it'll show you 33% passed, which means 1 out of 3, and 67% failed, which means 2 out of the 3 failed. What happens with failed test cases? You either need to fix them, edit them, or file bugs. Okay. Yes, if something changes in the app as you move forward, you need to go back and you need to fix your test cases. You need to update them. That's correct. Yes, you you were the test dummy. Usually I'm the test dummy. Do you usually compile your test cases into suites? Specifically, yes. So you do a smoke test suite. You do what do you call it? Regression suite. You do, and then you have your suites for each particular functionality. Sometimes you might have, right? If you want to create a suite for that particular test. There is no sanity test suite. No. Why isn't there a sanity test suite? Can somebody tell me? Exactly. Again, every new features will be new every single time, right? Again, it's a 30-second test if you are um if you're doing a sanity check. It's a very, very quick thing. After fixing a failed test, you rerun it. That's correct. You do rerun it. After so now let's say that the bugs were fixed and now you're going to rerun these test cases. You would rerun all 3 of these test cases again. Right? Do you need to run a past test case again? No, not necessarily, but I would recommend to do it, especially in the smoke test. Again, you smoke test, you run every single test case every single time you run your smoke test suite. Okay. Laura, what do you need repeating on? I said a bunch of stuff. When you add test cases to a test suite, do test cases merge? They get copied, so you can manipulate them inside of the test suite and do whatever you need to do. Test case 2, there isn't. I didn't go by any particular order. You need to go in order. Let me do this. Jalen, I'm going to use you as a test subject again, okay? So we're going to do smoke it if you got it. Jalen's test cases, smoke test suite. Okay. So we got them in here. We're going to, again, click the kebab. We're going to add the test cases. We're going to use search filter. Actually, I need to, let's see if I can do a JQL. Does this work? No? Oh, man. There we go. So I'm going to select all of her test cases. I'm going to assign them to me. Okay, now I'm going to sort them out by ID. Okay. And again, I'm going to select all of them. Thanks. I am like half dead right now. Otherwise, I'd be much more energetic. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So now we hit the E on your keyboard, or you hit the execute. All right. So here's the test case. Again, we're gonna go down the list. Right. I'm gonna follow again. I'm not gonna execute everything again, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give you guys a different what should we call it? Execution status, right? So this one we'll execute it in the past. We move on to the next test case. This one will say that it failed for whatever reason. Okay. Now, if it failed, what happens is we have to file a bug, right? There's a bug for a reason. There's a reason. The reason that it fails is because there's a defect, right? So we can either create a new issue, right, or we can add an existing issue. Okay. So we can do, right? Let's say page formatting is broken. This is the bug that we're going to take. This is the bug that we found, right, that we already created while we were writing the test case. You guys remember you were writing your test cases and you found a bug and you filed a bug. Now you search for it, you pull it up, you link it to the test case. Okay? And that's how you do that. You can create a new bug. Okay? We can say summary, test bug, issue type is bug. All right. And then whatever, steps to repro, just make it up. All right. Obviously, this is not a real bug. This is just to show you an example. Okay. And we're going to hit create. And you'll see here test bug 1356, and it is attached to the test case. Okay. That's how you link test cases and bugs together when you're executing them. Now, this is the part where you run your test case and you can't find your location. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's failing for a reason. That's how you do that. That's how you link your issue that you found. You can either create a new bug while you're executing your test case, or you can create it separately and just add it with the plus button. Okay. So now let's assume that this test case, you can't do this test case, the previous one, because of the bug, which means it blocks this test case. Okay. And I'm just showing you guys the different statuses. So you cannot link it. What do you mean? We just linked it. So let's say it's blocked by BQA 3355. Well, there's no 55. Giving me wrong information. Oh, no, you did give me the right information. What the hell? It's weird that it's not pulling it up. Oh, I did pull it up. Oh, that's dumb. Yeah, so there you go. We attached it. We manually just typed it in. All right, let me show you guys again. BQA 3355. You see it right here? You just type it in. Boom, shakalaka. There you go. And now it's linked up and it's blocked. The execution status is blocked because of this defect, right? Or it's failed because of this. Now, let's say you're running the next test case, right? But you know what? I need to step away, go get a coffee or something. Or whatever. I just don't want to do I'm just working on it right now. Boom. It's a work in progress. You leave it there. That shows that you're actually working on it currently. And you'll get back to it when you need to get back to it or whatever. Okay. Are all these statuses making sense? Is there any confusion about this? How the execution works? All the stuff that you thought you were doing in the last homework, you're actually going to be doing today. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go through the rest of these test cases. I'm going to mark the rest of them pass. Again, you actually have to go through each step. I'm only doing this to show you the different execution statuses. Okay? So that's done. That's passed. Everything else is passed. We're going to pass everything else. All right. Then we pass this too. We pass this too. Everything else, there's a lot of test cases. And that should be the last one. All right. So we pass everything else. All right. Blocked and what's the difference between blocked and failed? Failed is actually it doesn't you can't the expected result doesn't match the actual result. Block is you can't even get to the expected result because you're blocked for whatever reason. It could be anything. You run yeah. So you can that's the reason why we're very specific about writing our test cases so clearly and well defined is because a lot of times, hello, a lot of times you will you might have to execute someone else's test cases, or they might have to execute your test cases. So you have to write your test cases in a way that anybody, if they were to pick someone off the street and tell them, hey, come in here and execute Sobia's test cases, they should be able to run them based on how clearly and perfectly you write them out and specifically, right? Does that make sense? Okay, you gotta type in complete sentences. I have no idea what you're asking me. All right, so that is the execution status. Again, a couple of you guys have asked me some questions, and your questions are confusing me. So write them out in exactly what you're asking, and then write them out again so I can respond to them. So on this case, what we need to do now is we need to find our reports. Remember we talked about reporting and stuff, right? So if we go back to our project, on our left menu, you'll see the report section, right? So we hit the report section. If you scroll all the way down, you'll see the test case execution report. Okay, again, this is not something that you need to be too familiar with. This is to show you a little bit of how we're doing it. Okay. All right, we're gonna go by this project. Again, it's all unscheduled. We're gonna go by group by cycle, and you'll see all the test cases. See, this is the one that I executed first, right? This is the one we just executed for Jillian, right? 7 of them passed, 1 failed, 1 was a work in progress, and 1 was blocked. Okay. Irat, yes. So that's not necessarily. It is a block. It's a fail. It's not a block, right? It's a failed test case because that's supposed to happen. You should be able to do that, right? The expected result is supposed to be able to match. All right, cool. Somebody else had a question. Ramya, can you ask your question again? Again, I'm not clear what you're asking me. Our supervisor would probably look at this. Yes, your manager or your lead will usually look at this. That's correct. Remember when I said this weeks ago for most of you, and then also I repeated it multiple times. They can track everything you're doing. They know how much work you're doing based off of your numbers. Everything is in there. How many times you've run these test cases, what your execution looks like, how many test cases are passing, how many are failing. Management. Can we find these executed test cases in Jira? Yes, this is where this is all being done. It's all in Jira. I don't understand your question. What's the difference between a block and a fail? A fail is when the actual result doesn't meet the expected result. A block is you can't even get to the result. You're blocked before you even get to a particular step. All right. It can be because the previous test case failed, or it can be because whatever you're trying to test, it doesn't allow you to get to a particular area. Example of a block would be the location thing. No, that's not a block. Example of a block would be map search. You can't do a map search because it doesn't return anything. It's blocked because of the registration. Yeah, the registration failure without having to, when you get to that page, this page, right? You have to close it out. Profile. Wait, was this the page that was the problem? No, this wasn't the page. So which page is the one that causes an issue? Yeah, again, you can close out of this. Yeah, the Facebook thing, that's a fail. Again, usually this more adding location probably would be a block. I would think that more than a fail than it's a block because it doesn't work, right? It just messes up. When we are going to create the test cycle assigned to who? You are going to create the test cycle and assign it to you because you're going to execute the test cases. Somebody else might execute your test cases and then they'll assign them to themselves and run. Like I took Jillian's test cases and I executed them, right? So I assigned them to me when I was executing them. When she creates her test suite, she's gonna assign them to herself and run hers. Yes, it will be the same in the real company as well. That's how you do it. 9 times out of 10, you will create and execute your own test cases. Rarely will you rarely will someone else be doing, your test cases. But it does happen. I don't know what you mean, Arthur. If you create a random account, for example, can we add that link in the test case? I don't understand what you're asking me. All right, so that is all we had for today. Obviously, we did the execution. We went over the test report. Like I said, the test execution report. Again, the demo report is available. We looked at it. This is what it looked like, blah, blah, blah. Homework for today. Basically, we are done for today. Again, you have to finish up your smoke tests or execute them. Execute it using Zephyr on a random platform. Create any defects if you find any. Remember, I showed you how to create and connect them, edit them and fix them and all that stuff, right? Complete all your tasks in LMS. Continue building your resume in Bullets as well. Okay. All right. We made it, guys. I didn't pass out. I for sure thought I was going to die today before we. Oh my God. I took a nap at like 3 o'clock because I was like, I need to take some rest because I need to, and then I woke up and it was like 5:40. I was like, oh crap. I gotta get up. All right, cool. Awesome stuff, guys. Great session today. If you have any questions, please right now ask me. Now is the time. Thank you guys. It is a cold. I'm hoping. I am actually going to take a COVID test in a few minutes. I have one at home right now, just to be sure. But yes, it's a flu or something like that. No liquor for me until October, my guy. Once October hits, oh man, you have no idea. Bullets? I don't know what bullets is, Yelena. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you, thank you. No, mental note. I will not be here in October. I'm gone. Are we gonna select our toes cases for homework? Yes, you're gonna select your test cases for your homework. That you're gonna create a suite like I showed you, and then you're gonna execute your smoke test suite. You can't contact anybody over the phone. All right, you're gonna have to send messages through Slack. Can you explain how you get billed in the QA environment? It will be part of the dropdown, depending on how your company works. It will be part of the dropdown. You won't have to actually manually put it in. Okay. So it'll be available for you, so you can just kind of find it. If you cannot log into Slack, get in touch with the admissions team. We're in class 7. We're in session 7 today. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in Slack by now. Same thing goes for LMS. We're in session 7. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in LMS by now. So Nadir, can we create a cycle for all of our test cases? Only your smoke test cases. You're only creating a suite of a smoke test suite. So only your smoke test cases, you're going to create the cycle and you're going to execute them. Yes, you're only creating one. You can create multiple. Again, if you want to continue creating multiple ones, I don't have a problem with it. But just make sure it doesn't get in anybody else's way. Make sure you name them, specifically. No, that's, yeah, I'm in there, but nobody's in there. In Slack, everybody's in there. I've been answering questions all day today from bed. No, do not use other people's test cases. You only use your. Hey, yeah, guys, make sure you guys use your own test cases. Whoa, man, don't even say that. Don't say COVID. What's wrong with you? Kenneth, just copy paste your question again, please. I don't know where your question is. I don't know how far back I'll have to scroll. Ask me your question again. I'll answer it. I just didn't see it. So much info on smoke testing. Yeah, all this info on smoke testing. I'm gonna go have a cigarette right now. Ramya, you have a problem with LMS? Please get in touch with the admissions team or help desk. I will. They will be the only ones that can help you. I honestly can't even help you if you have an issue with LMS. What's the problem? Actually, can you tell me what the problem is instead of just saying I have a problem? Maybe I can. Maybe I know something. Alba, yes, you are. I was locked out of lesson 5 for 2 days. Okay, well, is it still locked? Wait, did you complete lesson 4? Are you in a team? Log in and log out. Clear your cache. Use a new browser. Try all these different things. Sometimes it's just a matter of clearing your cache. Thank you, Olga. Can you write your test cases from a dev or test? Our environment is a test environment, our QA environment. We don't do any testing in dev. And if somebody asks you to do testing in dev, actively refuse it. Your test results will be invalid because dev is constantly being changed, chopped, and updated by developers. It's their playground, it's their sandbox. So you can never have a real test. And they will try to force you to do your testing in dev sometimes. Refuse to do so. It'll come back to bite you in the behind. Okay. We don't do much testing in production. We will do very simple, basic stuff in production to make sure that, again, it's like a mini smoke. It's like a sanity check of a production. We can't do much in production because, again, it's live data. It's all live information. It's production information. We don't want to screw around with that. Okay. Alina, is there a tutor available one-on-one? You have no one, not necessarily, but you can ask questions of the teachers from us, from each other, all the time. No problem. Olga, are there a lot of QA engineers in companies? Sure. If they weren't, we wouldn't have jobs. Christopher, when creating a test case and writing the steps, can you copy paste the URL into one of the steps if the said URL is attached to my fake account? If not, yeah, if it's something that you can access without having to log in, or even if you do need to log in, just provide that information, right? If there's a specific place they need to get to and it requires a login or it requires credentials, provide the credentials in the test data field. So that way whoever's executing the test case can reuse that. Makes life easier. Okay. Rahel, I have many people in my Slack. I don't know if I'm part of any specific team. I'm not answering that question because I've said it before. This is a question that should easily be answered in LMS. Jalen, your test cases, when you create a new test suite, you will be assigning them to yourself. Okay. Test suites and test cycles is basically the same thing. Serena. There you go. Thank you, Khadija. Ramya, can you show me how to create a defect? No. Again, we're in class 7. You should have created multiple defects by now. Go back and rewatch the videos. There's those videos are available in LMS. And again, this is something that needs to be bugs after. I just showed you how to do that too. Go and rewatch our video for today, right? You just either create a new issue or you go into again you link an existing bug. LMS, everything is an LMS. I was recommending not giving a personal URL in test case, but what if it's just example? Uh, you're in the class. The video is not available yet. Give it 15 minutes. You'll have the link in LMS. Okay. Don't give any personal information in URLs. Again, personal information means like your email address or your telephone number or any other personal information. It doesn't mean whatever test data you're using. Okay, just use your test data, and it should be good to go. Thank you so much. Oh, well, you're welcome, Gulnada. I appreciate you for being here. So do I need to start my homework over? I didn't know you started homework already. You just need to do the homework you need to do. Hmm. Cool. Thanks, guys. I don't think I'll be better by Saturday when I see you guys next, but hopefully I am. All right. Cool, guys. Excellent session today, Christopher. When you're just starting your first QA, is there a performance expectation as far as how many bugs you should be finding? I.e., there isn't a quota of like X amount of bugs you need to find, but the more you find, the better it is for you. The more test cases you write. Here's what I'm going to tell you: you have control over your um, certain things in your job, and one of them is writing test cases. So if you're really curious, if you're really worried about your numbers, I would recommend writing a lot of test cases, as many valid test cases as you can write. Don't just start writing BS, kind of like nonsense test cases either, right? The quality is more important than quantity, so you can use that as well. Yeah, that you can't really go with job security in that regards, right? It's just a matter of kind of making yourself the best way for you to get yourself job security is to learn as much as you can about your application in the first 3 months. Because in the first 3 months, most companies don't expect you to be a master of the application. If you can master the application in a month, 2 or 3 months at the beginning, you will be indispensable to them. All right. Smoke them if you got them. All right. Where do we build our resume bullets? Your resume bullet should be built in your resume. Alina, it should be, again, go through LMS. This is something that is been in LMS every single time. Okay. So you guys need to go back. If you haven't started yet, then you need to go back to the first lesson and start all over again. No hoping, Aletia. We are going to do this. If I can make it through today, you can get a QA job. All right. Cool beans. All right. Looks like everybody's good to go. I see somebody asked me a question in Slack. I'm gonna try to get to it, but I don't think I'll be getting to it today. All right, guys, have a great night. Thanks so much. Great session. I will see you on Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.